And we are live. Day 31 of no racing and day 31 of my quarantined life. We've got some breaking news here. I don't know if some of you saw on CNN, they're talking social distancing till year 2022. I don't think that's going to happen. But if it does, you want to put your money onto iRacing. You want to put your money into Dirt on Dirt or places like Dirt on Dirt that can supply content through the internet, because there will probably be racing at that point, but it will be, no fans, just like that Texas track did, just distribute it through cameras and then onto social media. So that's where you put your money. Like I said, I don't think it's going to happen. Like I said, even if you heard the president's press conference yesterday, and I've already said once that I think this thing's going to be over closer to May 1st. Sounds like he's about ready to let the governors make a decision around that time. But mine, like I said, obviously I'm not a doctor, but like I said, I think it's going to be weather related. I just think that once we get most of the country to 80 degrees, it's going to help. They said that Dr. Gottlieb said it. He said that, in Florida, the cases are kind of leveling off there now because it's 80 degrees every day. And we just need to it'd be nice if we had an early spring through the whole country, just a nice warm up, even if it was just a week or 10 days. Get that sun, get the sunlight on you, get some vitamin D. And I think this thing could, be behind us by May 1st. But I think it might be anyway, because now, like I said, we're weighing the virus crisis versus the economic crisis. I think there's every day that goes on, there's fewer and fewer people worried about getting the virus and more people worried about how they're going to make their next car payment, how they're going to make their next house payment or any type of loan payment, credit card, how they're going to feed the kids, that kind of thing. So we will see. But that's just some of the breaking news that just came across, is that potentially social distancing. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean lockdown. That just means social distancing all the way until 2022. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, I am still confident that we're going to see racing in May 2020. You heard it here. Mark my words. We'll see what happens. But so on to today's show. I've had some people asking me about the modified kind of poll / brackets that are going on social media. So I thought I'd give my take. So for those of you that are not on social media or not following it, they just kind of ranked. I think they must be doing about 12 cars, and they kind of had people vote to the top 12 WISSOTA modified drivers who already done it with the late models. I gave my take. And by the way, Jimmy Mars was the overall winner there. I said on an earlier vlog, he's the one that deserved it. I would have said it was between him and Auckland. They've accomplished a lot. Jimmy's accomplished more, but I think he's raced a lot longer than Rick as far as on the national scene. So Jimmy deserved it. I mean, they made the right call there. Although I was, kind of like with the modifieds, there were people that were kind of put into the pecking order there that I'm not so sure deserved it. And we'll talk a little bit about that on the modified front today. And so what people, like I said, they're kind of ranking them 1 through 12. 1 goes against 12, and this is all just voting, fans, and it's just an opinion piece. But then they kind of bracket you down, so you make it through the first round to go to the second round. So it's just, picture a bracket, just like in any sport. And the biggest thing I want to start with as far as the mods is those that didn't make the list. Now, obviously, there's so many more mods that have raced in late models, so it's tougher. And I didn't see the full list. I couldn't quite find all of it. I've got the 1 seed, 2 seed, 3 seed, 4, 5, 6, 7. I did not find the 8th. I found the 9th. I did not find the 10th. And I did not find the 12th. So there might be 3 names that I name here amongst those that were actually on the list. I just couldn't find them, okay? So please give me a break on that one. But you can comment on any of these below. I'm supposed to tell you, like, subscribe, follow, and share if you'd like. My kids tell me I'm supposed to do that. They're social media junkies. So a handful of names that did not make the list. Dennis Jones, Ron's brother. Dennis Jones won a lot of races. He was a great racer in his own right, and I did not see him anywhere. Leo Burkhardmeiser, 4-time WISSOTA champion. I think he's got the second most of all the WISSOTA national championships behind Ron Jones, and I did not see his name anywhere. The late Dom Gumke, who just passed away within the past, 4 or 5 months. He was a standout back in his day in that Jamestown, North Dakota area. Brian Strand out of, when he was racing out of Bemidji in that modified, won a lot of races. Two-time national champion, I believe it was 97 and 98. Kent Arment has not moved into the second round, as I looking at some of my notes here. I'm sorry. Another great driver, and he has a handful of national championships. Blake Jetvig, did not see his name anywhere. Another great modified patent. Like I said, there were just so many. Paul Harlstead, former national champion over in Wisconsin, he won a lot of races. Troy Cayuth. A couple of names from the past, too. Mitch Johnson in the K100 car. Some of you, those of you that are my age, you remember Mitch running the K100 modified. How about Rick Auckland? The aforementioned Rick Auckland. He raced a modified at specials here and there. He raced, I think, almost every week a modified in Fargo. I mean, that guy, I've seen Rick Auckland in a sprint car, I've seen Rick Auckland in a modified, and I've seen Rick Auckland win a ton of races in a late model. So you talk about a guy that could get it done in any class, you're talking about Rick Auckland. Okay, so let's move on to the current second. Well, let's go back to the first round. We had the Hermantown Hammer. Daryl Nelson was a number 6 ranking going into this thing against number 11, Mark Noble. The Hammer won on the voting, and like we've always said, internet, social media, gonna skew young. And some of you millennials listen to this one. You might be able to do a little bit more informed voting on the future rounds here. But it is tough, like I said, with the mods. And Mark Noble is so far south. Hermantown Hammer's been up here. But Mark Noble did accomplish a lot. To be the 11th seed was the bigger surprise to me than that actually Daryl Nelson beat him in that round. But so it was Hammer advancing in the first round over Mark Noble. And then there was the Steve Arpin Kelly Esty. Steve Arpin has had a lot of success in racing, but a lot of his success in racing has been outside of dirt track racing and outside of the WISSOTA realm. I think Arpin was a, what's the Dakota Rumble, or what, not Rumble, but the Dakota Mod Tour. I think he was a 1 or 2-time champion out there, and I think that was IMCA rules. And of course, he's had a lot of success on pavement and beyond WISSOTA. But Kelly Esty's been at it a long time. Kelly Esty has not only a lot of wins, but a lot of point titles, showing a lot of consistency over the years. Arpin was the one that advanced. Arpin was the 7th seed. Esty was the 10th seed. I thought it was pretty generous for Arpin to get that 7th seed because he just wasn't at it that long. How long was he around the WISSOTA area? 5 years? 2000 to 2005, 6-ish maybe, 98, 99, up to 04, 05, 06, somewhere in there. Or Kelly's been he was in a street stock, super stock, but in a mod since probably 88, 89, and is still going today. Did a year or two stint, or maybe just a 1-year stint in the late model, I think in 96. So anyhow, that was kind of a tough one too. So now I've got kind of the second round voting. We have the number 4 and 5 seeds, Dave Kane versus Ron Jones. Ron Jones is the only 5-time most ever WISSOTA National Championship titles. This goes back to that same argument I had with the late models. I mean, Ron Jones being a 5th seed, to me, pretty ridiculous, millennials. Ron Jones should be at least a top 3 seed, if not the 1 seed. I mean, Ron Jones is one of the few guys from our area that made a living racing. Before there really was an organized USMTS, he was on the road running the big modified shows. Not that there were a lot of big ones, because in modifieds, like I said, Auckland, Mitch Johnson. I remember Tom Nesbitt in a modified. I mean, modifieds were just kind of the thing you threw into a special to kind of have the track packers at one time. They were a cheap car, but guys must have liked driving them. They must have been fun. And so they were a support class. And then over time, they developed into more of a main event class. I love arguing with Ryan Aho on the One to Go show about this. But I remember when they first started, Daryl Nelson, he's raced a late model modified 4 years. There were many drivers that had 2 cars for quite a while. And then, of course, as soon as it became WISSOTA, what happens when anything becomes WISSOTA? The price goes through the roof, and then it became more difficult for people to have 2 cars. So, but Jones was kind of excelling in the class before it was a class that had a lot of main events. And I like I said, I would argue Jones should be number 1, hands down, with the voting and everything. But right now it's Dave Kane versus Ron Jones, the 4 and 5 seeds. Kane, very accomplished driver himself. And I said, these mods, it's tough. There's a lot of talent there. There's a lot of them, a lot more of them than late models, so it makes it tougher because there's a lot more. There's a lot more really good drivers. Then you got the 3 and 6 seeds, Shane Sabraski, Darrell Nelson. Shane Sabraski will probably win that voting, probably has the edge. I mean, Shane's been one of those guys that's moved around a little bit more than Darrell. Darrell was always pretty happy racing, fairly close to home, 3 nights a week, very consistently. Another guy, a lot of points championship, very consistent. He doesn't break. He wins races in the shop, does a lot of maintenance. Like I said, 2 cars. You don't see him break very often. He gets her done. Then we have the 2 versus 7 seed, Kevin Buzzy Adams, who was our guest on the One to Go show this past week, and Steve Arpin. And I would have been, without an interview with Buzzy, I probably would have been shocked that Buzzy was the 2 seed, but through the interview, I didn't realize Buzzy has already like 500 feature wins, and he's got to be not quite 40 or maybe 40. So that's pretty impressive. I didn't realize he had so many wins, and I think we said during the interview, 9 WISSOTA 100 wins, not all in a mod, some in a street, some in a super. He was a B mod guy for a while, but and he's got some in the A mod. So very, very impressive there. Does he deserve the 2 seed? Seems a little aggressive, but he deserves to be in the conversation there in the top 5. That's for certain. And he's not done yet. He's not done. Now he's going to move to the late model, but I don't think he's done winning. So there's a lot of script yet to be written with Kevin Adams. Then the number 1 seed, the Craig Thatcher versus number 9, Joey Jensen. Thatch, no question, national titles there. Also, like I said, if I ranked them, it would have, even on the final side, it'd be Jones, Thatcher, and then kind of everyone else. Maybe Kane in third. It's tough. Like I said, it's tough with these guys. But Thatch was the number 1 seed going into this thing, so he's paired up against Joey Jensen. So Thatch will probably advance. Kane and Jones, Kane will probably advance. Number 2 Arpin, or number 2 Adams, number 7 Arpin. Adams will probably advance, and then Sabraski 3, Darrell Nelson 6. Sabraski probably will advance. So we'll probably come back to this at some point as the voting goes, and we'll kind of get down to that final 4 and see what happens. But unfortunately, like I said, the 5-time national champ, Ron Jones, probably will not advance out of this second round. So that's about all I have. Oh, no, I have one more thing. So many of you that know me, I'm a hockey guy, big hockey guy. I'm a Hibbing Blue Jacket, and a fellow Hibbing Blue Jacket by the name of Scotty Perunovich. Those of you that follow hockey, this past weekend was awarded the Hobey Baker Award, which goes to college hockey's top player. He also signed his contract with the St. Louis Blues as entry-level 2-year deal. I know Scotty a little bit. I'm on the ice with him. He's a fantastic guy, so I just wanted to get on here while I have a platform and say congrats to Scotty. Everyone in Hibbing is proud of you, and just best wishes for continued success down in St. Louis. So with that, I'll sign off, and we will catch you on tomorrow's vlog. We're here every day during quarantine to help get you through this thing. I am Racer Puka, and we'll see you tomorrow.